Everyone said the Bulldog was the problem. He was the only one paying the right kind of attention. The advice had been consistent and confident. A Bulldog and a toddler is a risk. Too unpredictable, too territorial, too big for the wrong reasons. Jaws with too much recorded history. Her sister had said it. Her neighbor had said it. Her mother-in-law had left a printout. 3 separate people had told Camilla that getting rid of the dog before the baby arrived was not just sensible. It was what a responsible parent did. Camilla did not get rid of the dog. Biscuit was a 4-year-old English bulldog, 54 pounds, with the face of someone who had strong opinions about everything and no urgency about communicating them. He was slow, deliberate, and affectionate in the specific way of bulldogs, leaning rather than jumping, pressing rather than pawing. He had been examined by 3 veterinarians and passed every temperament assessment. Camilla was an animal behavior technician. She had done her own assessment. She kept him. Petra arrived the following spring. She was a thriving 14-month-old when the thing with the peanuts happened. There had been no known allergy, no family history, no previous exposure that produced a reaction. Camilla had introduced age-appropriate foods carefully. Petra ate well and widely, and had shown no indication of sensitivity to anything. The birthday party was a neighbor's, a casual outdoor gathering, children and adults, food on picnic tables, the natural chaos of summer. Camilla watched Petra closely, the way she always watched. She didn't give Petra anything from the dessert table, but children at parties reach things, touch things, put their hands against surfaces, touch their own faces. The mechanism for trace contact allergen exposure at a gathering with nut-containing items is invisible and quick. Biscuit had come with them. He was on a leash beside Camilla, his usual post. 20 minutes into the party, he sat down and would not move. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Not in his usual way. Not the comfortable, deliberate settling of a dog who has decided the ground is adequate. He sat in a taut, specific way, all 4 feet placed, attention locked on Petra. Camilla tugged the leash. He moved forward with her pull and circled back to the same position beside Petra. She looked at Petra. Petra was playing normally, running, picking up a leaf, handing it to another child. She looked fine. Camilla looked at Biscuit. Biscuit was looking at Petra's face. They were 12 minutes from the nearest urgent care. Camilla picked Petra up. Petra fussed. She had been mid-run. Camilla looked at her face in full light. There was a flush, mild, across the cheeks, the kind that could be heat from running. Camilla looked at Petra's neck. There was a hive. One, just below the left ear. Small, already fading at the edges, but present. She was in the car within 90 seconds. The allergist, Dr. Marcus Osei, pediatric allergy and immunology, reviewed Petra's case the following week. The blood work confirmed significant IgE-mediated sensitivity to peanut protein, consistent with the first contact exposure reaction that was in its early stage when they left the party. The antihistamine administered at urgent care had interrupted the cascade. The progression of anaphylactic reaction in a toddler of this size, Dr. Osei said, moves on a timeline that can feel manageable on the outside and be advancing significantly on the inside. The visible presentation. The flush, the single hive, typically represents a reaction that has already been building for 8 to 12 minutes. He looked at Camilla. You left when you did because. The dog sat down, she said. He nodded once, slowly. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Dogs detect specific proteins and immune response compounds through olfactory sensitivity. The chemical shift produced by an allergen exposure, the histamine precursors, the mast cell degranulation compounds that precede visible systemic response, is detectable to a dog before any external symptom presents. Biscuit had no formal training. He had not been selected or conditioned for medical detection. He had been watching Petra at a party on a summer afternoon, doing what he had always done, which was pay attention. Camilla drove home after the allergist appointment and sat in the driveway for a moment. She thought about all the confident advice, the printout, the certainty of people who had never met Biscuit and who had very specific ideas about what a bulldog was and what it was capable of. The word risk. She thought about Biscuit sitting down at a party with the particular taut focus of an animal that has decided the situation has changed. She thought about what 12 more minutes at that party would have looked like. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Shh, 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 shh. Got out of the car and went inside. Biscuit was in the living room where she'd left him. He looked up when she came in, his flat-faced expression neutral and watchful as always. Petra ran to her from across the room with the full speed abandon of a toddler in a safe place. And Biscuit turned to watch her run, tracking her the way he always tracked her. The same attention he had been giving her since she came home. Not a risk, a resource. The next story involves a dog who sat at the base of a staircase every evening for 11 days before anyone thought to look at what was at the top. She sat with Biscuit in the living room that evening, after Petra was in bed, and thought about the word risk. It was the word everyone had used. It was the word that had come with the printout and the concerned looks, and the advice given with such confident goodwill. What they had meant by it was, this animal could hurt your child. What they had measured it against was breed history, size, jaw strength, incident reports, statistics, all of which were real, all of which were incomplete. None of which accounted for the variable of a specific dog and a specific child, and the way that a living animal with 300 million scent receptors and a guardian instinct shaped over centuries will orient itself toward the one member of its household who is least equipped to protect herself. The allergist had ordered comprehensive testing. The results came back on a Thursday, and Dr. Osei walked them through the full panel. Peanut, tree nuts, sesame, shellfish. The peanut sensitivity was significant. The others showed mild elevation. They now had an EpiPen in every room, in the diaper bag, in Camilla's car, and her husband's car. They had protocols. They had a plan. They had the knowledge that had been unavailable to them before. A dog sat down at a party and would not be moved. Camilla looked at Biscuit on the couch beside her. He was in his habitual evening position, pressed against her leg, head resting on her knee, eyes half closed, the face of an animal that had decided this was enough. This proximity, this post. She thought about the neighbor who had left the printout. She thought about her sister and her mother-in-law and the word they had all used. She thought about 12 more minutes at that party. She put her hand on Biscuit's heavy head. He exhaled.